Bulletcast for life.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Under the Radar. My name is Brandon. Thank you very much for tuning in today. And we're just going to get right into it. This one's going to be a little shorter than last week's. Last week, we had All In, so a lot of stuff to talk about. That went an hour and 5 minutes. I was very surprised I was able to talk by myself for an hour. But this time we're really going to talk about NXT, the Mae Young Classic, and a little bit of news. So this one should be under a half hour, but you never know, because sometimes it might get a little long-winded, and a soliloquy might pop up. I might go on a little tangent for no reason. I'm already going on a tangent about nothing. So let's just start off with some news. I kind of hinted at this last week on the Bulletcast, didn't really go much in depth with it, but there are some rumors that Phoenix and Pentagon Jr. are going to be moving over to NXT or WWE, whichever way they choose to go. Obviously, I think they're probably going to go to WWE. Really big stars on the NXT, especially Pentagon. Phoenix, I can't remember if I said this or not, but I kind of see him as like a Kalisto type character. I don't know exactly how well he speaks English at all, so I don't know if he can cut promos and, be connecting to the audience as much as Kalisto did. And Kalisto, he had a little bit of a run there for a while. He was hot for a wee bit. Maybe not hot, but he was getting over for a wee bit. But Pentagon, I think Pentagon can't miss prospect. I think he can be fantastic, especially in the heavyweight division. When you think of luchadors, usually in WWE, they're the smaller ones. You have Sin Cara. Even Andrade Almas, he's a little on the shorter side. But I think he makes up for it with his character and his in-ring work. Obviously Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio had his run as a top guy, but just the size factor obviously helps him. Pentagon, I've seen him wrestle at APW shows multiple times. He's a girthy guy, not the tallest in the world, but I think he's kind of, like a Samoa Joe, where he's not really tall, but his intensity and everything else around him makes up for his lack of height. But I think both of these guys, whether they come in together as some sort of tag team and they obviously go on to do other things, that'd be fine by me. They're kind of being a little coy. I think Phoenix said something about, big things coming soon, so everyone just assumed that means they're going to WWE, but maybe that just means they're going to do more things with MLW, maybe Lucha Underground or Impact Wrestling. Maybe they sign to ROH or they commit something to New Japan. You never know. But obviously these two guys, besides the Bullet Club guys, probably one of the biggest free agents on the market thus far. We're going to have to stay tuned and see what is going to happen with the Bullet Club, and probably going to have to happen to see what these guys do, because I think these guys might be one of those people who do really, really well in NXT, and then just, especially Phoenix, I think Phoenix has more of a high percentage of not succeeding in WWE just because he's going to be kind of thrown on that 205 Live roster and just kind of get lost in the shuffle. But Pentagon, I think Pentagon definitely can have an impact, no pun intended, on the WWE roster. He has a great character. You got the mask. You can sell those to all the little kids, and even to the adults. I can see adults wearing Pentagon Jr. stuff. But one man who was supposed to be a free agent this year, but is not anymore, because obviously he has signed his contract, because he's still with WWE, but it seems like now officially word has come out that Daniel Bryan has signed his contract, and hopefully this is good news for Daniel Bryan. Obviously I was in the camp that said, this was before he got cleared, obviously, that he was going to go out and, tear up the independent wrestling world, go to ROH, New Japan, maybe do a Chris Jericho and possibly go to Impact Wrestling. You never know. But since he has gotten cleared, I still felt he maybe not should have, but I think it would have been a lot of fun to see him go out of WWE and kind of do what he does, especially 10 plus years ago, before I even knew who Bryan Danielson was. Just see him going all over the place to different companies and having the best match with all the top guys in the company. But obviously we kind of knew this was going to happen after it was supposed to be his contract runs through the same day as All In, which was September 1st, and once they advertised him for some other, I think they advertised it for some appearances appearances, easy for me to say, down the road. And obviously, with Hell in a Cell being advertised well in advance of the September 1st date, it was pretty clear that he signed his contract. No word on exactly how long the contract is. Daniel Bryan currently is 37 years old, so if he signs a 3-4 year deal, he's just turning 40 years old. If he really wants to, it all depends. I think it's going to depend on his health. If he does, hopefully, God bless that. God bless Daniel Bryan. Hopefully, nothing happens to him again. I feel like he's working a smarter style. He's not bumping as much. Thank God he hasn't done the flying headbutt anymore. He has started doing some dives. He kind of wasn't doing them in the beginning. Now he's doing them. So I don't know if it's just him being more comfortable with himself. But hopefully this means that now Daniel Bryan has put the pen to paper that WWE is committed to him, and they can go full force with him. Maybe they will never put him as that very top guy. Maybe he can be like where AJ Styles is now. He's running SmackDown. He's the face of SmackDown, while Roman Reigns or whoever's on Raw is the actual real number one guy. Just because it's kind of like sports. You got the top tier. I mean, it's like Steph Curry. Steph Curry shows phenomenal ability, but yet he has those glass ankles and he hurts them every now and then that turns into how the Warriors were able to build this dynasty, is because they didn't give Steph Curry max money, because before they had this dynasty and they signed all these other guys, he didn't deserve to get all that money because he wasn't showing that he can stay healthy for a long period of time. Still, Steph Curry still has some injury issues. Daniel Bryan, we're going to have to see what happens with him. He hasn't wrestled for a full year yet. Don't exactly know what his house show schedule is. I don't really pay attention to the house shows that much to see how much Daniel Bryan's wrestling, what kind of matches he's having. Obviously, I think he's probably just throwing in some tag matches, and people just want to see Daniel Bryan right now. I think for the first loop, it's just like, oh, look, Daniel Bryan's back, good for him. And then now, once we turn the calendar over and we go towards WrestleMania, it's definitely going to be, we want to see that badass Daniel Bryan. We want to. I don't know. I feel like since he has come back, maybe a little bit of the luster has been off of Daniel Bryan, but that just is because he has been pushed. I feel like as a top star, he had the run with Big Cass, he had the Hell No thing, and now he's in a feud with The Miz, which is what everybody wanted. It's kind of hot. I mean, they're doing good things back and forth. I think getting the wives involved adds kind of a new dimension to it, kind of stretch it out a little bit more. Don't exactly know when the final match will be. Maybe it's for Survivor Series. Maybe it'll be for WrestleMania, Royal Rumble. Who knows? But now Daniel Bryan is officially signed with WWE. Hopefully this means that the company will believe in him and give him the real push that he deserves, because he has an unbelievable connection. He might have to change his character up a little bit. Maybe relying too heavy on the yes stuff might be just him resting on his laurels. Maybe he wants to change it up. Maybe Daniel Bryan's content of just going out there, doing the greatest hits and making money. But I just don't believe that's how Daniel Bryan operates. He wants to at least go out there and have the best match. Maybe his character, Daniel Bryan, especially in the indie scene, he's always kind of experimenting, trying different little things. But we will have to see about that. So that's it for some news. Not a whole lot of news coming out this week, especially since I want to save for some of the bigger news for the Bullet Cast. Maybe we'll talk about Lana shooting on WWE 2K. Maybe. We'll see. But let's get into the NXT TV report. Obviously, this is from last week. A little late to the party, but this is just Tuesday is the best day for me to record. It'd either be Tuesday or during the weekend, but I like to keep the weekend to myself because I go to school and have long days and want to relax. So Tuesdays, we'll stick to Tuesdays. So first off, we have Cassius Ohno coming to the ring. He was smiling, but still has a very serious demeanor to him. And first off, we have Cassius Ohno versus Kona Reeves. Kona Reeves has been pushed a little bit lately. He had that match with EC3. Kona Reeves gets a little bit of offense in, but then Cassius Ohno comes out of nowhere with the rolling elbow, hits him, and gets the pin for 1, 2, 3. And this match was only 1 minute 46 seconds. I thought this match was actually longer than it was. Now looking at the time, I'm a little surprised it was that short. It was a good match. It put over Kona a little bit, but then it showed that Ohno's dominance, that he's been on a run lately and his elbow kind of come out of nowhere, and just kind of showing the power that Cassius has. And then post-match, Ohno cut a promo saying that he's tired of having all these newcomers leapfrog him, and so the next time some guy comes out with hype, he's going to knock him down to size, or whatever the exact verbiage was. So basically, he's challenging the next guy that comes through that door. Maybe it's Keith Lee, maybe it's Matt Riddle. I don't know exactly who other the top, the next hyped guy is. Maybe Ricochet. It's going to be interesting to see where they go. I think a Keith Lee Cassius Ohno match would be fantastic. I think Matt Riddle would be fantastic as well. It's just going to have to see. I think definitely Cassius Ohno looks like he's going to get some sort of, hopefully he can get a takeover match against one of these hyped rookies, or not rookies, but rookies in the NXT term, where he gets a hyped match going into the Survivor Series weekend takeover. Maybe it's just another thing where we're more than 2 months out from the next takeover, so you can kind of have that as being the main event of something, of being the main event of a NXT show. But I think definitely having one of these, I don't know exactly where they're going. I don't look at the reports, so I don't know if it's already come out of who Ohno will be facing. But I think either Keith Lee or Matt Riddle would be a fantastic takeover match. It'd be so crazy. Ohno, I feel like, is having a little resurgence in his career, especially on his on his character. He's got to being more heelish, but still kind of being serious, babyface demeanor. So he's kind of toting that line. I can see him turning heel on one of these new guys once they actually get the feud going. So I'm interested to see what Cassius Ohno does. I'm a big fan of him. Obviously, he just hasn't clicked on the NXT roster for some reason. Maybe it's a body issue. Maybe it's just too many wrestlers are there and they just can't find a spot for him. But this will be fun to see what Ohno does in the future. So next up we have the Forgotten Sons. That is Wesley Blake, Steve Cutler, and Jackson Riker. Jason Riker? Whatever his name is. So they have a match up against the Street Profits of Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. So big match for both of these teams. Good match between both of these teams, kind of going back and forth. I think Montez Ford definitely can be maybe not a top guy. I think he doesn't have the body to be a top guy in WWE, but definitely has the character to be a great person on the roster. Maybe even a manager. I can see him being that. The size is a little bit of an issue. He's a little too skinny, but great character. He knows who he is. So they go back and forth, and then the Street Profits are almost going to pull out the victory, but then these two guys in masks show up, and the Street Profits grab one of the guys, and they find out that it was the Mighty who was trying to attack them, and the Forgotten Sons end up pinning. Who was it? I think was it Angelo Dawkins? I forget. Somebody pinned somebody, and that led to the Forgotten Sons winning in 6 minutes and 35 seconds. This match, once again, kind of felt a little longer than it actually was. Both of these teams aren't exactly known for their work in the ring, so the match itself, it was aight. The Forgotten Sons gimmick right now isn't the best thing going. They haven't really flushed that out. It's just kind of these, the island of misfit toys. No one cares about us anymore, so we're just going to get together. We're just going to wreak havoc. Doesn't exactly stand out to me. The Street Profits, as I said, great characters, still haven't proved it in the ring, so still have to get better. Angelo Dawkins has been there for a long time, so he should be, I think, better than he already is. Montez Ford, I think he's great, but I think right now just the in-ring work from both these teams. Maybe Street Profits have their character down. Forgotten Sons need to work on that a little bit. Especially, they said they've been working WWE or NXT house shows for years up until this point, and this is their first match on NXT TV, so that might tell you a little something there. We continue with the backstage interviews or interrogations in William Regal's office. Heavy Machinery is there. Otis acts all nervous, and he admitted to doing it. Not attacking Aleister Black, but destroying the toilet. He went into this whole thing about what happens after he drinks iced coffee, and it went on way too long. I think I popped when he said that he destroyed the toilet. I think that would have been fine for what it was. They could have left it there, but I felt like they just had to write that extra sentence or two to really give us that picture. I didn't think they need that. I'm not the biggest fan of poop jokes. I know Vince McMahon loves them. This isn't a Vince McMahon product. I'm surprised this even made it on the air. I felt like they had me. It's just Otis saying he destroyed the toilet. They could have left it there, but they kind of ran too long with it. But that is that. So basically, well, then they kind of talk about, because Heavy Machinery also had the POV footage of them being backstage, and they didn't say anything. All they said was they saw Tommaso Ciampa near Aleister Black the time of the incident occurring. So still putting more focus on possibly Tommaso Ciampa and the other lead candidate being Lars Sullivan, who we will see later on in the show. Kairi Sane, the NXT Women's Champion, came out. She had a treasure chest, and inside was the NXT Women's Championship. And she went on to face Trish Adora in a non-title match. Only 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Only 2 seconds. The match itself was fine, just kind of putting over Sane. It was what it was. Great. Just getting the character over. So then next up, Shayna Baszler comes out, knocks over that treasure chest, and she kind of trash talks Kairi a little bit. They go back and forth a little flurry of offense. And Sane gets to her feet and looks angry, and then she fights back, and Kairi Sane drives Baszler to the ropes, Baszler to a knee, and then she intercepts Baszler out of the, and then, I don't know, I'm trying to read off this, and it kind of doesn't make any sense, but basically Baszler runs away and gets up to the ramp, and, teasing that she's going to invoke her rematch clause eventually. So, gotta wait for that to see when that occurs. Backstage, Tommaso Ciampa is cutting a promo on his phone backstage, but not like the WWE promos where he's actually holding it. He kind of sets it down on some sort of table or a crate or something, and he just kind of talks. He just cuts a straightforward promo. Let's see what he is addressing, why he hasn't appeared since Takeover, and he basically said that since there's no number one contender with Black and Gargano out of the picture, he chose to film his promos backstage because he doesn't care about the opinions of the fans, and he doesn't need to lead them. So basically, just Tommaso Ciampa being a dick, just saying, since I'm not needed, I'm not going to come out and dance for you people. Next up, we have Lars Sullivan backstage in William Regal's office getting interrogated about the Aleister Black attack. Lars apologizes for not telling William Regal that he was back, but it basically says that whatever he said he was going to attack Aleister, but obviously if he did, it would have been a lot worse than what actually happened. He says that, or William Regal says that someone that we know he did attack was EC3, and he also attacked Raul Mendoza. And Raul Mendoza will face Lars Sullivan next week, so get ready for that one. It's going to be a barn burner of a match. Velveteen Dream makes his way down the ramp for his match against Johnny Gargano. Both people getting a mixed response. Velveteen Dream being the over heel. People love him. He's eccentric. And then Johnny Gargano being the babyface, a little conflicted. He's kind of showing heel tendencies. Maybe people getting a little sick of the repetitive nature of him and Tommaso Ciampa going back and forth. But this match, as I said on the Bulletcast last week, was absolutely fantastic. 15 minutes and 56 seconds. Velveteen Dream gets the victory. By God, this match was fantastic. Might have not been epic in length like the Gargano Ciampa matches we've seen in the past, but the story they told in that short amount of time, and 15 minutes is not a short match. I mean, especially on NXT TV, it's probably one of the longer main event matches you're going to see, and this match definitely delivered. The in-ring aspect was really good, but I just felt like the psychology and the story they told, especially with Johnny Gargano in the last 5 minutes of this match, was just phenomenal. Very similar to, I feel, the Sami Zayn storyline they told a few years ago in the early days of the network, where Sami Zayn just can't win the big one. He's trying to resort. There's a very similar spot where Sami Zayn, I forget what exactly he was going to do, but he was going to do something where he was going to cheat. Might have been like hitting Kevin Owens or something with a steel chair when the referee was down, and the crowd was actually chanting no. They didn't want to see Sami Zayn do that. They wanted to see him stick to his guns, be a good, straight babyface. And Gargano did the same, well, not the same exact thing, but he was going to hit a draping DDT off the ring apron down onto the floor in Velveteen Dream. The crowd actually chanted yes for this, so it kind of shows that maybe the story isn't exactly what they want, or the crowd isn't reacting the way they wanted. I don't know if they want it to be the exact same moment, but they're going for the same thing. Gargano did not hit the DDT on Dream. He throws him back into the ring, and he's laying, or Dream is laying there, and Gargano goes to take his knee pad off, very similar to what happened at Takeover Brooklyn, and Dream's just yelling at him, saying he's a failure, and just going back and not going back and forth, but Dream's just laying into Chomp or Gargano, and maybe baiting him, and definitely baiting him in, and Gargano goes for the running knee, and Dream hits the Dream Valley driver for the victory. So as I said, 15 minutes or 16 minutes rather, and this match was great. Definitely want to see what goes on going forward, especially with Johnny Gargano. Does this mean Velveteen Dream is up next for a title opportunity? As long as Aleister Black is still out. Don't know the timetable on him, but as I heard some news about his testicles sack being like ripped open, that's not a good sign, and just stay home and get your ball sack healthy, Black. But after the match, there was a split crowd chant between Johnny Failure and Johnny Wrestling. Gargano looked upset with himself. He looked maybe a little bit angry towards the crowd, maybe a little conflicted of what's going on with him. And Gargano doesn't go up the ramp. He goes through the little side exit near where he walks out of the ring next, or through the crowd, and goes past the announce table and goes through like the little back entryway. And so that's how the show went off the air. They just kind of conflicted. Johnny Gargano, conflicting crowd responses. Maybe are they turning Gargano heel? Is Gargano turning into Tommaso Ciampa? What are they doing with them? We're gonna have to stay tuned and find out. They had a backstage segment, I believe, that I skipped over, and they made an announcement that in 2 weeks there would be a title for title match with Ricochet going up against Pete Dunne. So that match is going to be insane. Will it be better than this one? We will have to see. I think it depends on if there is a clean finish in that match. If it's a clean finish, they go 15 to 20 minutes. That match can honestly be probably one of the best NXT TV matches in history. If they want to do that, they obviously can do that. So I think coming out of this show, the show wasn't great going forward, but then that last segment with the Velveteen Dream Johnny Gargano match was just great. I'm so intrigued to see what they do with the Johnny Gargano storyline going forward. And honestly, NXT is probably the best show on WWE right now, maybe in all the best daily show in wrestling. I don't watch Lucha Underground, I don't watch Impact, so I'm just going to stick to WWE right now. I might say it's better than SmackDown. SmackDown's been getting a lot better recently, but I think especially just with having the hour TV show, you can keep it so compact and tell the stories you want. You don't have to tell us, especially with Raw, you have 3 hours to fill. You basically have to tell every single story in that every single wrestler has, just because you have to fill out that TV time. SmackDown's not as bad. They have 2 hours. Some people don't show up on Nakamura doesn't even have a match, I think, at Hell in a Cell right now, and he hasn't been on TV the last couple weeks, so that's kind of weird. But onwards to the Mae Young Classic, we have Episode 1, Night 1. And full disclosure, I'm not a huge women's independent wrestling fan. I know some people, like on this show, I knew a couple of the names, but for the most part, if you don't know a lot of these people, I will be right there with you, and I will lead you through the way, and it'll be through the eyes of not even a novice, a beginning wrestling fan when it comes to independent women's wrestling. So they kick off the show with a kind of a clip of all the different things that happened last year. They kind of go through a video package of a lot different of the performers, just kind of a generic hype video, kind of hyping up the entire tournament, saying that whoever wins is going to go on to Evolution or going to go on to the finals at Evolution, the historic all-women's pay-per-view. So they show some stuff, just some generic video packages. The commentary team is Michael Cole, Beth Phoenix, and Renee Young. Congratulations to Renee Young being full-time commentator on Raw. I believe we'll talk about that on the Bulletcast. But she's definitely an upgrade than Coachman. I'm not going to sit here and say she's the best announcer ever. She's fine. Hopefully, with all the reps she's going to be getting on Raw, that means she will get better, she'll find her character, and she'll fit in and find her groove. So, let's just jump into it. We have every single match we had little video packages about two of the performers. They had, just quick little couple minutes, just get their characters over, kind of say who they were. So we have Zatara, who is a lucha libre competitor from Chile, and then we have Tegan Nox, who is one of the favorites. It looks like Tegan Nox is Michael Cole's pick to win the entire tournament. She is from Wales, and she ends up getting the victory. It does not have the... Oh, yes, it does. 6 minutes and 13 seconds. Tegan Nox gets the victory. Good match, decent opener to the entire tournament. Just, simple, basic, nothing real to it. I already forgot her name. The Lucha Libre Zatara was the subtle heel in this match. Not exactly, neither one of these competitors were all-out heels, but obviously I think Tegan Nox is the bigger star. They had bigger upside for her. Her whole story was she was supposed to compete in the Mae Young Classic last year, but she ended up tearing her ACL, I believe, something to do with her knee. So she had a knee brace on. It was wrapped. And that was a story going on throughout, where Zatara was working on it. She was working over the knee. Nox was selling the knee at the end, so maybe that will be a little thing going forward, where maybe someone just focuses on that knee. Don't have the bracket in front of me, so I don't know if there's any submission specialist where maybe Nox has to run into her, and that is how she ends up losing. But Nox, don't know. I did not know who she was. They definitely put her over as one of the favorites, just with Michael Cole saying it and some of the other stuff they showed on the video packages. So definitely somebody to watch is Tegan Nox. So next up, we have someone who I do know because she was on the Mae Young Classic last year, and that is Rhea Ripley going up against MJ Jenkins. Rhea Ripley's whole deal is last year she was the youngest competitor. She was kind of bland. She was just kind of smiling and just going through the motions. But then now she's kind of found her character. Now she's kind of like a punk rebel type character. She has a lot of leather, a lot of spikes, a lot of chains, and all that other stuff. So definitely she's kind of found her niche. MJ Jenkins, she's I think her gimmicks is she's like Afro-licious. She's upbeat, she's spunky, she's full of charisma and just going all over the place. MJ Jenkins, a little undersized compared to Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley, not on the bigger side, but definitely bigger than MJ Jenkins in this batch. So Rhea Ripley was the heel, but she has the big name and people know who she is. So she kind of got a little bit of a baby, or probably she's the bigger star, I think, out of the two. So people definitely knew her, so she was behind her. Much edgier. Rhea Ripley definitely was the heel in this match. Rhea Ripley ends up winning in 7 minutes and 41 seconds. Another decent match between the two, especially on this show. I don't know the exact bracket going forward, so there might be some more green competitors in the tournament. But right now, all the competitors that were on this show, maybe the least, maybe the most green might have been MJ, but I think they said she had 7 years of experience. So that is what it is. So all these matches were fine for what it was. First match or first, opening rounds of the tournament. So it's going to not be a whole lot to these matches. It's going to be down the line where we're going to see more of these people kind of go back and forth and have more competitive matches. But thus far, all matches, I believe, are under 10 minutes. So none of these matches were exactly barn burners, to say the least. But they definitely are just here to get over the characters and kind of put over the bigger names and just kind of give you a little taste of what's to come. So next up we have Lacey Lane going up against Vanessa Craven. Craven's gimmick is she is 6'2", I believe, 200-something pounds. So she is called the Mountain. So she's a really big girl. And Lacey Lane, undersized, especially against Vanessa. So this was the whole story, just a whole David versus Goliath thing. And Lacey Lane ends up getting the upset in 5 minutes, or 4 minutes and 50 seconds, rather. Lane's performance, it was really good. The only thing was she went to do some sort of top rope, like what the luchadors will do. They'll bounce up and down on the top and middle rope. And I believe they edited this out a little bit to make it look a little better than what it was. They cut it, they might have did a quick camera shot cut away right when she fell down, so you couldn't exactly see what happened, but she definitely tripped and fell, and Vanessa had to sell it a little bit, so then they just went right next to what the next spot was. So definitely one of the probably the biggest botch on the show, but I mean, it's a tough move. Don't know if she's hit it before. She probably has, just because she was confident enough to try this on the Mae Young Classic. But a little shocking that the Mountain lost in this match, but obviously I think they have big plans for Lacey Lane going forward. Maybe not going to make it to the quarterfinals or the semifinals, but definitely try to put her over. They said that she has already signed a contract to be at the Performance Center, so we will be seeing her soon on NXT, maybe just as an enhancement talent right now, but maybe down the line she will be. She has a great look. She said she was mixed, I believe, half black and maybe half white. She has like long blonde dreads, so definitely has a different look. So it's going to be fun to see what they do with her, what's going on with her down the line for the tournament. But all these matches, the brackets did not, or the matchups did not line up. So the two people who won from this show are not going to face off against the other two people who won on the show. That was a little thing that I was like, oh, that's kind of weird, because if it's like a real tournament, usually like the people you're going to play the same day as you, so then you don't have like an advantage of having more rest. But that's just me being too technical in this whole sports thing. So next up, we have the last match, the main event. We have, I'm going to butcher her name, Meiko Satomura, going up against Killer Kelly. I was biased. I really wanted Killer Kelly to win, because Killer Kelly is the first ever women's wrestler from Portugal to be in the WWE. She is from Lisbon, which is the mainland of Portugal. My family is from a little island called Madeira, so not exactly like Ronaldo. Ronaldo is from the same island as me, so I always say I'm related to Cristiano Ronaldo, but we probably aren't, but you never know. It's a small island. So probably, I don't know if I would say this was the best match. I mean, none of these matches were a real standout. I mean, they're all just so different in their own separate way. Maybe I would say the opening match was the best one, but this match was between Satomura, who is a veteran. She wrestled on WCW. That's how long she's been wrestling. Killer Kelly, not really a heel in the match, even though she was basically one in the UK tournament that happened a few months ago, I believe, at this point. But Satomura definitely was over. It felt like the crowd knew a lot about who these people were. I know they have like the little introductions. They introduce everyone. Everyone gets in the ring, and they wait for the crowd, and they probably all see the video packages about them. So they probably might be a little. Maybe they're just women wrestling fans. They just know everybody. But Satomura gets the victory in 7 minutes and 41 seconds. Good match between the two. The crowd was hot for it. They knew both the women. They kind of wanted both of them to win. It was a real technical match. Good work going forward. Definitely, I think Killer Kelly, especially since she was on that UK tournament, maybe be a big part of the NXT UK brand. It's going to be fun to see with her. But Satomura ends up getting the victory moving forward, so maybe she's going to be that veteran who comes back and she's going to make a run out of it. And hopefully she gets paired up with somebody. And I don't believe Satomura is going to end up being the eventual winner, but hopefully the match she ends up losing to is a really good match, and it's one of the people they really want to put over. Maybe Toni Storm, maybe a Rhea Ripley, or whoever else is in the tournament who they have big things for, and they can have that big moment. They had a moment here where Satomura just raised Kelly's hand. Kelly was a little bit emotional, but overall the show itself was fine. All the matches were fine, nothing real fantastic here, but just a solid match, just kind of putting over the women you want to put over, getting the stories across, and just kind of laying the foundation for what is yet to come next week. I do not believe they advertised what matches are going forward next week. They probably did, but I just wasn't really paying attention. So that is it for the Mae Young Classic report, and we will have to see what happens tomorrow on Wednesday. So that is it for Under the Radar. I tried to go under a half hour. Of course I didn't, because I'm always long-winded and I talk about stuff I probably don't need to talk about, or I just belabor the point. But thank you guys very much for standing in with... See, this is the kind of shit I'm talking about. I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. I just say things to say them. But that is it for today. Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye and good night. Bye.